So Joe Biden's over ordering some airstrikes in Syria. Did you know about that? Well, if you didn't, let's take a look right here. Biden orders airstrikes in Syria, retaliating against Iran-backed militias. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby said Friday the bombing caused casualties, but said it was too early to say how many fighters were killed or wounded. President Joe Biden on Thursday ordered airstrikes on buildings in Syria that the Pentagon said were used by Iranian-backed militias in retaliation for rocket attacks on U.S. targets in neighboring Iraq. The strikes killed at least 22 people, London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said on Friday, citing unconfirmed local reports. Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby portrayed the bombing in eastern Syria as carefully collaborated, calling it proportionate and defensive. Kirby told reporters Friday the bombing caused casualties, but was too early to say precisely how many militia fighters might have been killed or wounded. We have preliminary indications of casualties on site. I'm not going to go any further than that, Kirby said. What's the irony here? So, point blank, this is clear hypocrisy from the Biden administration. Clear hypocrisy. The fact is, they've carried out the air attack. Now, they gave a defense for it. I'm going to get into that defense in just a minute. But you've got Jen Psaki. And if you don't know who Jen Psaki is, this is Joe Biden's press secretary. So in other words, when the press comes around and asks questions, she's the one giving the answer, right? So she's come out, defended this, and it seems to be that they are defending these attacks in Syria because they were attacking Iranian-backed militias or something, right? But when Trump carried out a couple of airstrikes only a few years ago, and this is no defense of what Trump did either, because it turns out the Trump airstrikes that were supposed to be attacking the Syrian government because they claimed the Syrian government was gassing their people, there were a few people who said, that don't sound right. The whole argument doesn't make sense. It seems like this was a false flag to give us another excuse to hit Syria or something, right? And the mainstream media smeared all these people who were conspiracy theorists who claim that, something don't add up. They said, they're just making things up. They're lying. They're conspiracy theorists. Of course Assad gassed his own people. Well, then it turns out we get some whistleblowers inside the government, once again, who leak out this was fake. Assad did not gas his own people the way that they were claiming that he did. It was another propaganda smear on Assad to get us to support these strikes, blah, 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 pumping you full of bullcrap. The same way that the Gulf of Tonkin incident didn't happen, the same way there were no weapons of destruction in Iraq. Assad's gassing his people turns out to be bullcrap. So it's not uncommon. And so yet when Trump carried out this strike, what did some of these people say about those strikes? So Jen Psaki says back in 2017, what is the legal authority for strikes? Assad is a brutal dictator, but Syria is a sovereign country. What? So apparently she has given some sort of a response to what took place, and she broke it down along the lines of this was retaliation against Iran, this wasn't an attack in Syria. Well, guess what? You bombed inside of Syria's borders. I don't care who you were trying to attack. It was inside of Syria, was it not? And again, you people don't seem to have the best track record when it comes to telling us the truth about who you actually attacked. Do I need to talk about the double tap? Do I need to talk about the fact of what, Chelsea Manning leaked out about how we would go in, hit the insurgents, circle back around once first responders, nurses, news reporters, civilians basically, were on the scene, and then we would kill those people too? Well, by the way, just for the record, that's a war crime. Oh, and for the record, that didn't take place necessarily just under the Trump administration either. You know, when that came out, Joe Biden, you were the vice president, and Barack Obama was the president. So explain to me again how this is justified. It's carried out within Syria's borders, right? So, you know, we all know Joe Biden, Barack Obama, they weren't fans of Syria. They tried to play it a little more safe in their final years. They wanted to go after Syria, but the calls were coming in overwhelmingly from the people against doing anything in Syria because people were tired of war. So the Obama administration tried to play it safe. But it was just like everything else that happened when Trump was in office. And again, he was wrong. He wasn't right in this at all. But anything he did, even if it's something they would do, he was wrong for it. Like, this is right out of your handbook here. This is something that you would do. Clearly, you've done it. You haven't been in office 100 days, and you've done it. But he was wrong when he did it. God. Do you want to know why I say that if Trump runs again, he's got a strong chance of getting reelected, or if someone else takes up his mantle and run in 2024, whether it be his son or someone else that's going to kind of give off his same energy, that they have a strong chance of winning? Do you not understand why all the people who you consider to be the nuts in the room on the right wing sound like they have a lot of sense when they point out hypocrisy here? Like, you could say half these people like Sean Hannity. We'll just say Sean Hannity, right? Sean Hannity of Fox News. You say Sean Hannity is an idiot. You say Sean Hannity is an absolute right-wing buffoon, and yet you make him look like a truth-telling genius when he points out that there is a massive hypocrisy between the Democrats and the Republicans, where the Democrats will bury a Republican like Donald Trump for doing anything that they themselves do, that it doesn't matter what he does, he's always got to be wrong for it. You then create it so that he can then warp something that Trump did wrong in this case into saying, see, he did the right thing. Now, there are examples of where Trump did the right thing and they still attacked him on that too. For example, if we got to go into, look at what he did on the criminal justice reform. Yet they said he didn't do anything for criminal justice reform. Okay? They attacked him on the tariff issue with China. We have a massive, massive trade deficit with China. They say, oh, well, it hurt the farmers. The problem with fixing the tariff system is they've already messed the trade system up, and we're not at a position of strength to fix it. And the best way you get the deals on your side is when you have a position of strength. When you're trying to win the deal from a position of weakness, it's very hard. So I'm not even going to fault him for that. I think he did what needed to be done if he were ever going to fix that situation. Doesn't mean it was going to be so easily fixed. Understand, when you're in a bad predicament, sometimes to get yourself out of it, you might suffer a little more pain. And that ain't his fault. That's the fault of the previous administrations who allowed these bad trade deals with countries like China to ever come to pass in the first place. They're the ones really to blame because they allowed it to ever happen. They allowed our country to get bent over a barrel. He wasn't in office when all that crap took place. He wasn't in office when the first NAFTA was passed, so you can't blame that on him. And even though, yes, NAFTA does not have anything to do with China, we did lose a lot of jobs to Mexico as a result of China, too. So there's a lot of things I will give Trump credit for. There's a lot of things I will criticize Trump on. But the point is, the Democrats don't recognize any good whatsoever. It was all bad, 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 bad. And then when you can take this example and show what they said once upon a time about how these things are bad, and yet now they're doing them themselves, and they're trying to come out with some cockamamie bullshit excuse for why it's good. What the is wrong with you? You make these people look like they are the honest ones. You make it so that Sean Hannity can convince more people to go vote for Trump 2.0 next time around. You make them you make it so that they are able to paint this man as a martyr. So congratulations. Trump was such a threat to our country. After he's out of office, you're going to make more people sympathize for him. You're going to make more people more sympathetic to the guy who was a big threat to our country and is out of fucking office. That's quite a fucking achievement. That's quite a fucking achievement. But that's what Jen Psaki had to say. Here's the good one. What the fuck did Joe Biden have to say? Joe Biden said in 2019, Trump's erratic, impulsive actions are the last thing we need as commander-in-chief. No president should order a military strike without fully understanding the consequences. We don't need another war in the Middle East. But Trump's actions towards Iran only make that more likely. Okay, Jen, you gave us the alphabet soup, you give us the word twist, you give us the spin on how it was just retaliation towards Iran. We weren't attacking Syria. We weren't attacking a sovereign nation this time, whereas we were attacking a sovereign nation last time, even though the attack happened within their borders. So you give us your defense for your tweet. How about the defense for this tweet? Because what you acknowledged was we were retaliating toward Iran, right? Okay. Pretty sure this tweet was about when we shot down like an Iranian drone or something, or no, I think the Iranians shot down our drone and then we bombed Iran or some crap. And we were right on the brink of war with Iran is what everyone was talking about, right? And I think right after that we might have killed Soleimani. No, actually Soleimani was early 2020. It's hard to keep up with all this crap. But this is June 2019. So Joe Biden is trying to warn us that Trump is ordering strikes erroneously. And it's going to cause war with Iran. Yet the defense for these strikes in Syria is we're attacking Iranian-backed militias, implying that your hostility is not towards Syria, but your hostilities are really towards Iran because Iran had attacked us and killed some of our... Like, these are these twisted reasons that they're giving. It all points back to, basically, your hostilities towards Iran. And based on your tweet here, President Biden, you didn't want war with Iran, I thought. We don't need another war in the Middle East. So why are you trying to start one? Make that make sense for me, please. Honestly. I'm just a stupid redneck in South Carolina. You know, I'm not a military strategist. I'm not the leader of a country. Maybe I'm just that dumb. So help me so that I can become a smarter redneck, understand what the fuck the point of this is. You know, we Southerners are old dumbasses, you know. We get that stereotype about sleeping with our cousins and working on our trucks, and we just a bunch of old dumb fucks down here, right? So I just must be too stupid to understand your fucking concept. So If you'd just be so kind to help me understand, I'd be so fucking grateful for you. There ain't no fucking explanation. You're full of shit. But again, if you can give me one, go right ahead. I'll be open-minded. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. If y'all don't think we're going to get Trump 2.0 in 2024 or 2028, we have got six months, 6 damn months into the Joe Biden administration. And guess what's already happened? $2,000 checks? $1,400 checks. Oh, well, that's becoming a problem now, too. Biggest campaign promise from Joe Biden and from his Senate counterparts who are running in the Georgia runoffs. If you get us in office, we will give you $2,000 checks immediately. Did not happen. That got reduced to $1,400 checks. Still didn't happen immediately. Now it's by March, and now we're coming up on March, and the Republicans don't want it, and this and that. And now, unless they somehow do the filibuster, remove the filibuster, or I guess try to go for budget reconciliation again, that ain't gonna happen either. So you won't even get your stimulus checks if they don't pull something, to bypass Republicans, because Republicans aren't going to vote for it. Whoo, imagine that. Like we couldn't have told you that was going to happen. They didn't want to vote for the last round. So I mean, yeah, the $1,400 checks might be coming, but who knows what the hell's going to happen there. Biden ran on a $15 an hour minimum wage. Now, I'm not advocating for that. Everyone, if you've watched my videos, know what my stance is on the minimum wage. I think there's a better solution than that. But now he's even slowed down on that promise. Like, by the time it's done, he's probably going to endorse Mitt Romney's plan for a minimum wage increase, which took it to $10 an hour, which the left is shitting all over. So again, I'm not in favor, but the left, his base, wanted 15. The fight for 15. And arguably, even though you might say that the Bernie left and all that isn't really Joe Biden's base, for the most part, like, very much the majority of the country is behind this $15 an hour minimum wage. That's not to say it's right. It's the popular thing right now. So if that's what they wanted, and that's not what they're getting, then what do you think they're going to do next election? You're already dropping the ball on them that much within 100 days. Not even the first 6 months. Not even the first year. But within the first 100 days, you're not delivering on the checks. You're carrying out airstrikes that are potentially going to provoke a war that you yourself were crapping all over in 2019. What do you think's going to happen to you? First of all, he probably don't care because he won't even be in office by that point. It'll probably be Kamala Harris, or if he can make it through 4 years, he certainly won't run again. He'll just turn it over to Kamala Harris. But here's some interesting truth. Here's something that you might find a little more interesting here. Now, I don't know how confirmed this is, but going through Twitter, apparently there were some verified folk, have that blue little check mark. Seemed to be there were some people saying that Joe Biden was not made aware of the airstrike and Kamala Harris was not made aware of the airstrike. Whether that's true, whether it's been truly confirmed, I don't know. What I do know is this. If it were to be true, what does that mean as far as who's running the country? The man who is supposed to be commander-in-chief of the military was not made aware of airstrikes. Like, who's supposed to be giving the orders here? That wasn't to be done unless he said so, right? And arguably, it's not even if he says so. Arguably, that's an act of war. Arguably, there should be a declaration of war from Congress. Now, I know. We can go back to the Bush years and where they gave power to the president to fight Al-Qaeda, and they're trying to use that to broaden Al-Qaeda to terrorists, and now it's ISIS and Iran and Al-Nusra, and by the time it's done, it could be the damn Mormons on the bicycles. Okay, whomever they want to deem is who they're going to be able to use justification for. Okay, at this point, the wording can be tossed out the window. We'll make it whoever we want to. So I know that's what they're hiding behind, but arguably should be a declaration of war. So it's not even Joe Biden's decision, it should be Congress's decision. Of course, that's not fucking happening. It's still just Joe Biden. But even he wasn't made aware. Someone else, sounds kind of deep state-ish here, doesn't it? If not even the president or vice president know about these airstrikes and they're just being carried out by someone else, sounds like deep state to me, right? So now you're trying to tell me that they're just bombing countries on your watch without your approval? So within the first week to 2 weeks, you sign executive orders that we got you audibly on camera saying, I don't even know what I'm signing. Now you're bombing countries and don't even know what countries you're bombing. What the fuck is this? Like, wait a damn minute. Oh my God. I don't care what the fuck you thought of Donald Trump. I don't care. I don't care if you liked him. I don't care if you hated him. The argument was from so many Democrats, Donald Trump is not fit for office. Now you can make your case why. I don't care. I didn't vote for him this time around. I voted third party. And I have a very, very, very fucking clear conscience doing that right now. I wasn't going to vote for Donald Trump, and I wasn't voting for that alternative to Donald Trump. And you know how well I sleep at night? Like a fucking baby. I don't need melatonin. I don't need to take NyQuil. I don't need any kind of sleeping aid. I go to bed, and I sleep like a damn rock, knowing I didn't vote for either one of these fuckers. But the argument was, Donald Trump is not fit for office. He is not presidential material. He is not mentally fit for office. How in the fucking hell can you say that when you put this senile old bastard in charge? You had 20 fucking Democrats run, and that's the fucking one you came up with? The guy who can't get through a sentence? The guy, this is the one for another video, who slipped up during a speech and dropped the N-word recently? What the hell? This is your fucking alternative to Donald Trump? That's your solution. That's who was fit for office. The guy who's just as old, even more white, clearly has signs of dementia, doesn't know what he's signing in executive orders, doesn't know what countries his own military he's commander-in-chief of is bombing, and can't get through simple speeches without slipping up his words and dropping the N-word. Matter of fact, I tell you what, I ain't even going to make a separate video. If you got this far, I'll go ahead and play the clip for you now, just so you know what I'm talking about.
Challenges Europe and the United States must take on together is broad and complex. And I'm eager to hear.
Now, I'm not going to do what the left, well, I'm not even going to insult the left that way, what the Democrats and the mainstream media would have done if that were Trump. I'm not going to be, see, he's really racist, his true colors are just really coming out, his dementia's got the truth talking. I think it's pretty obvious, if we're going to be honest, he wasn't trying to say that. Some people are going to probably try to say his words just blended together and that's what came out or whatever, right? But whatever. He clearly wasn't trying to use the N-word, but it's kind of what came out, right? So the point here being, though, is if that were Donald Trump that happened to, what do you think the response would be? MSNBC wouldn't shut up for 2 months. CNN, a month and a half. They'd be going on and on and on and on and on. And you'd have even Joe Biden, the man who just stuck his foot in his mouth because he can't speak. He would be out there. It's a dog whistle. You know, that's what the conservative twins were saying about that video clip, right? Like, that's exactly what they would have said. If that were Trump, they'd be saying it's a dog whistle to the racists, to the white supremacists. He's just pretending to make a slip up. And he's actually saying it to signal to his white friends, you know, white power and all that, you know. I got you back, boys. Donald Trump is such a threat that the Democrats are going to campaign for him in 2024. He's so bad for our country, they're going to do everything they can to make him look like he was a martyr and help he or his successor get elected in 2024. Oh, man. You know what, Trump? If you run again, I think you really ought to embrace your grassroots campaign thing and not fund at all. Completely grassroots, small donations, and fund yourself if you can at this point. We all know what the income stuff was looking like. But don't take big money donations. Don't. Be honest. Say, I'm funding myself completely again. Because they're going to do more to help you get elected than the donations would have anyway. Good Lord, we're so fucked as a nation. Seriously. And you expect me to believe 80 million people voted for that guy, even if the argument was, well, they didn't want Trump. That is what you wanted as a replacement? The most popular president of all time, because 80 million people voted for him. Even though people are going to say, well, that didn't make him the most popular president. That just means they just didn't want Trump, so they came out to vote for him. I still don't believe it. Like, if you're telling me that you wanted rid of your cancer, so you infected yourself with AIDS? What? What? What the hell? God. I don't know what the fuck to say. I'll tell you this, if it's true that there was nothing that took place with those voting numbers, if the numbers are true, and over 80 million people voted for Joe Biden, we are in bad shape. You know me. I want to see third-party success. And perhaps this buffoon is going to turn people off the Democrat Party. Perhaps some corporate Mitt Romney type Republican will get nominated in 2024, and maybe in the mix of that, a third party can come to rise. How are we going to smarten our country up to not vote for these parties when YouTube's censoring videos down, when mainstream media is propping one of the sides up and other forms of mainstream media props the other side up, and they defend them both from a third party? They don't talk about third parties. They don't advocate for third parties. They don't even hardly tell you who they are. Like who's running on the tickets. You never hear about them. It's so rigged against the third parties. And this guy is going to make people want an outsider. And if the Republicans do the smart thing to get them a win. The only danger to it is that if the guy is too much of an outsider, it could disrupt their establishment. And that's where they got to kind of walk a tightrope. They got lucky with Trump. He had that outsider appeal, but he was really an establishment person at the end of the day. So, again, maybe Trump 2.0. Someone who can do that. If they can get someone who can walk that fine line again, they're going to win. They're going to win. I don't want to see it happen. I'm still wanting the Amash Gabbard ticket for 2024. I'd still love to see either one of them come into office. But I'll say this too. It's not just a presidential race anymore. If you want third parties to have any kind of power, you're going to have to take over the Congress and the Senate, or at least make a big dent in the power structure. Until you do, ain't nothing going to happen. Period. Ain't nothing going to happen. The Democrats and the Republicans are going to keep control. And how we're going to wake 80 million people up to that? Oh, good Lord. It's going to be hard. If it's even going to be possible. But for everyone who voted for this guy, if you didn't want Trump, I'm fine. I understand why. But if you voted for that to be his replacement, I'm just curious if you're sleeping as well at night as I am, because I didn't vote for him. That is what you thought was suitable for office. That is what you thought was fit for office. That is what you thought should represent our country all around the world. If that's a sign of the times, then that's a sign America's in the dying days. If that's the leader. And if you care anything about your country, you might want to get your head out of your rear by the next election. For sure. You don't have to go vote Republican. I don't want them to get elected again. Start voting for something else. This is clearly a race toward the bottom if you just keep voting for the lesser of two evils. You know why? Because the candidates keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse. We get Clinton, who had some appeal. There's plenty of stuff you could argue he did wrong too. And then we go from Clinton to Bush, the idiot. Then we get the charismatic Barack Obama, who also did plenty of wrong, but was charismatic. Then as his alternatives, we get the insufferable Hillary Clinton and the celebrity Donald Trump. Of course, we get Donald Trump out of that choice. Then we get a choice between Trump and Obama's vice president who has dementia, Joe Biden. And we got Joe Biden. Race towards the bottom. Because even if they look good, they're governing crappy. Barack Obama is a prime example. Something's going to have to change, or we are so screwed.